Okay. Okay. So the next talk is by Dr. Mirza Arshad Ali Bek, and he will. Dr. Mirza, Dr. Ali Bek? Are you there?
Can you hear us?
Okay. Okay, they're appearing here. Okay. Okay, Dr. Ali Bek, are you hearing us? Are you hearing me well?
Oh. I cannot hear you very well, Dr. Ali Bek.
Yeah.
Dr. Ali Bek, can you check your microphone settings, please? We cannot hear you.
Improving quality of life, thereby inculcating processes. It is the entropy of each such case where order is expressed out of question 1. Expression of order from disorder is energy released in exhaustion, like precipitation, microcrystallization in the solid crystal form, characterized by ordered state with disordered basis of liquid. Many exothermic reactions need low temperatures of separation of from soluble.
Ram, if you're listening to this, if you contact his nephew Faizan, he's in the forum somewhere. He can help him.
May be viewed as an ordered state leading to random or disorder. The process of precipitation of solids from liquids, randomized or disordered state, and the solid subsequently crystallizing into the crystal form, considered here as skimming out the order from the solid. The following equations are derivatives of the entropy-driven processes. The universe crystals crystallizing out of solutions. In the second equation, it is effluence crystallizing out of the skimming out of impoverishment. So equation 2 is the emergence of crystals from solutions, while equation 3 depicts the skimming of the effluence from impoverishment. The system in each case undergoes alteration in our. This may be because crystals forming an ordered system with large lattice energy also want to reduce the order in the liquid and thus further analogously, an ordered state characterizes the peaceful service.
Mr. Faizan, is there any way to fix Dr. Mirza's microphone settings, please? The voice is barely audible. Because we could hear him clearly yesterday. His presentation was quite clear. Yeah, it's clear now.
A social group in disarray is like a liquid or a semi-solid while one which is disciplined is analogous. Analogous to crystals that have their components well structured. The higher the value of entropy, the lower will be the order of aggregation or compaction in this social group. The compaction is likened to the higher state of order and discipline observed among the advanced communities. Advanced societies have achieved this status by maximizing the exploitation of ecological resources, which implies lowering the internal energy content delta H and hence maximizing entropy. Wealth accumulation. In socio-physico-chemical perspective, capital formation and accumulation of wealth is entropy driven and as the basis of capitalism. Metamorphosis of resources underlies the transformation of landscape, water harvesting, crop production, industrialization, urbanization, etc. Production of all different metamorphs depends on the energy of enablement of capitalist system, which oversees processes of benefit as extraction from entropy-driven metamorphosis. Capital formation is a metamorph of resources proceeds in the exploiter group of countries as follows. Metamorphosis of resources in the exploited industrialized countries, where the enjoy the richness psyche is entropy is minimum, proceeds as follows. Capitalization of by capital accumulation being profit oriented, that is by chasing profit, is by present definition entropy driven. It involves investment of money or some financial asset with the aim of increasing in initial monetary value of said asset as a financial return, whether in the form of profit, rent, interest, royalty, capital investment, or liquidative money in market. Profit-oriented capitalization may be represented by equation 6. Capitalists who hold wealth enjoy the richness accompanying the metamorphosis of resource into irretrievable forms. Others who invest the profit or invest in newly created sources and the structures of wealth, or leverage the accumulation of wealth, derive the benefits of higher values of wealth. Metamorphosis of wealth. Socio-physical chemical theory considers the following different modes of metamorphosis of capital formation through concentration, as analogous to the physico-chemical processes of saturation or supersaturation and vaporization through condensation. Concentration of wealth is in socio-physical theory considered in terms of limits of saturation and supersaturation of solutions, while volatility of capital is parallel to fugacious nature or tendency to escape in the vaporization, condensation, and centralization of capital, respectively. Concentration of wealth constitutes a social entropy-driven process. Stresses of capital formation delineated in equation 7 may be relieved by controlling the parameters relating to accumulation and flight. This may help in inducing precipitation, transfer, capitalization, and allowing distribution. For example, zakat, which is an Islamic instrument of sharing the richness. Investment of wealth or transfer from one unit of financial sector to the other. Increase in stress results in increase in fugacity or escaping tendency of the more, for example, water as compared with a solution of salt. Money will likewise volatilize and condense into money market when under stress of taxation. For example, resource impoverishment. Resource impoverishment, generation after generation, has been witnessed to skimming of the resources by the exploiter and leaving the impoverished system for the rest of or the exploited to bear with subsistence living. Likewise, the poor nations have on an overall basis continued to remain poor. The entrepreneurial class in developing and developed countries has used its skill and applied technology to raise its status. It is thus able to enjoy the affluence. In the industrially advanced countries have gone a step further, and after exploiting the resources of their own and of the countries that they had subdued, attained superiority in trade and peoples. they are engaged in status, thereby using up resources on global scale. The vicious circle of resource impoverishment continues with escalating inequality. Affluence and poverty have assumed new dimensions. The rich, which is entrepreneurial and manipulative skill, has transformed the resources into available and unavailable forms, separating itself out in the meanwhile from the impoverished environment as suggested by equation 1, 2, 3, and 4. The rich with the entrepreneurial skill enjoys the benefit of by transforming the exploited resources into cash for relishing the richness. The technology promoted growth, entailed consumerism. It was duly captivated by globalization of richness by technology users and impoverishment in the development and least developed countries. According to Forbes reports, the number of billionaires increased from 691 in 2005 to 2095 in 2019, while the aggregate wealth of these persons increased from 946 with 3.5 trillion in 2007 to 2095 with $8 trillion in 2019. Apparently, $8 trillion has gone into the worth of global wealth should be considered in terms of as depletion of resources and corresponding increase in their available forms. Since the year 2000, emissions representing misuse of technology, for example, in war or on terrorism and response with counter-terrorism, have gone at almost double the population growth rate. Clearly, the objectives of development processes which aim at improvement in quality of life of humankind have been hijacked. They are not just improving the quality of life of people and providing affluence to a few, but are directed to promote their supremacy in trade and weapons through technological development. Soon enough, then, social entropy of transformation of resources into wealth and its use to inculcate superiority will dominate over enthalpy. What is needed is reduction in social entropy factor and conservation of enthalpy.
Right, this is it. We'll have any questions if you have.
Is Dr. Ali Bek, is that, have you ended your slideshow?
Yes, we are actually done with our presentation.
Oh, okay.
We are, yeah.
Okay, so we have some time for questions. Any questions, please?
They're asking questions.
Any questions?
Mirza, one question. What exactly is wealth in terms of, what does wealth have to do with entropy?
What does wealth has to do with entropy?
Wealth is entropy. Wealth is accumulation of the resource, conversion of the resources. Wealth is a form of resource conversion into something which is not available. And whatever is not available, whatever is unavailable is entropy. So wealth or wealth accumulation is entropy. The accumulation is an entropy-driven process.
So, for example, when somebody owns a large amount of gold, what does that have to do with entropy?
So if somebody has a larger amount of gold, what does it have to do with entropy?
That is accumulation of entropy. And any increase in entropy or the domination of entropy-driven processes leads to chaos. So accumulation of wealth is leading to something that is entropy-driven, that is leading to chaos.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Anybody?
I have a short question from Bruce.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Thank you very much for the question. I think I agree with most of those observations, but and gives me plenty of time. Give me plenty of time so that I can elaborate on the subject. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to have to close this session here because we're going on to session T17, biophysical economics.